speed is my motto, nothing's ever holding back.
Welcome back to the Lone Road iRacing podcast. I'm your host, Guy Robertson. Now let me paint you a picture. You sign up to iRacing for the very first time. You're excited, you've watched the videos, you've seen the pros. You think this is it. You load into your first race, heart pounding, grid forming, the lights go out, and within 200 metres chaos ensues. Cars spinning, dive bombs from other postcodes, someone rejoining like they've been fired out of a cannon sideways. And in that moment, you realise something. Nobody actually taught you how to race. Not properly, anyway. Not racecraft, not awareness, not decision making under pressure. You were just kind of dropped in. That looks like an experiment. And that right there is the current gap in iRacing. Because iRacing gives you the tools, the cars, the tracks and the competition. But it doesn't give you a journey. Now imagine if it did. Today's episode is all about the upcoming career mode. What it could be, what it should be, and whether it could finally turn chaos into craft. So let's get into it. Let's get one thing straight away. Career mode in iRacing cannot be just a checklist of races, because we've seen them already. In F1 23, you've got structured seasons, contracts and progression. In Gran Turismo 7, you've got licenses, skill gates and gradual learning. And in Forza Motorsport, you've got accessibility and guided progression. But here's the difference. Those are games with structure. iRacing is a live racing ecosystem. So career mode can't just guide you. It has to prepare you for real humans. And that's the missing ingredient. Because right now, learning in iRacing is like learning to box, by stepping straight into the ring and hoping your opponent goes easy on you in round one. Spoiler, they won't. So let's talk about the elephant in the server. Most iRacers learn in official races, which means mistakes happen at racing speed, other drivers are the collateral, and confidence takes hits early. And here's where the psychology kicks in. When a new driver makes mistakes in public races, they'll feel judged, they feel pressure, and they panic. And panic is the enemy of racecraft. Because panic leads to later braking, overcorrection, and tunnel vision. And suddenly, instead of learning, they're surviving. Or worse, they quit. Career mode could change all that. It creates a safe environment to fail. And failure, well, is where learning actually lives. So for me, career mode and racecraft development come together. And this is your core. Career mode should not teach speed first. It should teach survival. Because finishing races cleanly is the foundation of everything. Imagine structured lessons like Lesson 1, side-by-side awareness. Holding a line, not drifting under pressure and trusting space. Lesson 2, the non-overtake. learning when not to go for a gap. Lesson 3, defensive driving, positioning without panic. And lesson 4, rejoining safely, because we've all seen the alternative. These are not flashy skills, I'm sure you'll agree, but they are the difference between a 1x race and a 12x disaster, and finishing P6 instead of a DNF. And here's the deeper truth: Racecraft is not mechanical, it's psychological. And that's a good segue into the next section. So let's step out of the car for a second, because this is where most drivers never look. When you're in a race, your brain is juggling. It's looking at speed, awareness, risk, and a little bit of ego. And that last one, ego, is a silent wrecking ball. Career mode could help reshape that mindset early. Instead of, I must overtake here, it teaches, is this move worth the risk? That shift is everything. Because great iRacers don't just drive fast, they make better decisions under pressure. And that comes from confidence, repetition, and controlled environments. Career mode could provide all three. And what about mental health and the iRacing journey? And it's another big one, and clearly not talked about enough, and you hear it regularly on my podcast. iRacing can be mentally brutal. We all spend hours practicing, we all spend time building confidence, and we all spend loads of energy focusing. That one race and it's gone, wrecked on lap 1, and that creates something very real. Frustration, self-doubt, and you start to tilt. And don't forget, the tilt is dangerous, because once you've tilted, you start to push too hard, you make more mistakes, and results start to spiral. Career mode could act like a mental buffer, a place to reset maybe, rebuild confidence, or practice without consequence. Think of it like mental recovery between races. Because just like physical fatigue, mental fatigue is real. And right now, iRacing doesn't give you a space to manage it. So we're at the midpoint in our main topic today, and we're going to hear from our sponsor, Outlap. We'll be right back. We're having a quick pause here to mention our sponsor, Outlap, who are supporting the podcast. Outlap is built around the side of sim racing we don't talk about enough. The focus, the preparation, and mental work that happens long before the race actually starts. It's not about hype or loud designs, it's about process, patience, and showing up ready, whether that's in the rig or stepping away from it. If that side of sim racing resonates with you, you'll find Outlap quietly ticking along in the background. I want to thank Outlap again for sponsoring the podcast, and the link to their sim racing apparel store is in the show notes. Just want to thank Outlap for sponsoring the podcast. Let's not pretend this is all upside. There are risks to career mode. Overstructure, does it remove the freedom of iRacing? Gaming the system, will people just complete tasks instead of learning? split community, career mode versus public races. Or 4, false confidence. AI or structured environments aren't real humans. And that's the key, because no system can fully replicate unpredictable drivers, aggression, and something we all do regularly, mistakes. So career mode must complement, not replace, public racing on iRacing. So what does the perfect career mode look like? Let's build it. Ladder system, MX5 or FF1600 fundamentals, GT4 maybe, combined with F4 for development, and GT3 or LMP for advanced. Skill gates, these could be clean race completion, incident thresholds, or consistency targets. What about coaching feedback? You lost time due to late braking and you defended too aggressively, and you can't move on if you're getting negative comments on how you're driving. Scenario training, lap 1 survival drills, wet weather control, and multi-class awareness. Now you're not just racing, you're learning with intent. So to wrap our main topic of today's podcast up, career mode won't magically fix iRacing, and that's a definite. There will still be chaos, there will still be mistakes, there will still be that one driver, and we all know the one, but if you could change the starting point, it could mean fewer drivers arrive in races unprepared. It could mean the drivers are making better decisions, which then gives us cleaner racing, stronger mindsets, and maybe, just maybe, lap 1 becomes a little less of a war zone. But only time will tell. We'll be right back in a minute for this week's Agony Uncle. Don't go away. This week's Agony Uncle question comes in from a pretty newish iRacer. He says, I've been stuck in D-Class for months. Would a structured progression actually help me, or do I just need more races? That is a brilliant question, because it sits right at the crossroads where most iRacers either improve or plateau. And here's the truth most people don't say out loud. More racing on its own rarely fixes anything. If it did, every driver with 200 races under their belt would be A-class and flying. But we know that's not the case. Because improvement in iRacing doesn't come from repetition alone, it comes from informed repetition. Right now you're probably doing what most drivers do. Jump into races, try your best, get caught in incidents and move on to the next one. And slowly that creates frustration and even a bit of self-doubt. So let's change the approach. First, yes, a structured career mode would help. It would guide you, highlight weaknesses and give you progression with purpose. But until that exists, you need to build your own ecosystem around your own racing. And this is where most drivers miss a massive opportunity. So we're going to break this down a little bit. Step 1, stop racing alone. iRacing can feel like a solo experience, hence the podcast's name. But the fastest way to improve is to plug into a community. why not join a league? Not for the competition, but for that learning environment. Leagues tend to have more respectful driving standards, regular drivers who you get familiar with, post-race discussions, and people willing to help. And here's the magic. When you race the same drivers week after week, you start to understand how they defend, where they're strong, and where you can improve. That's Racecraft evolution in real time. Step 2. Get into a Discord community. This is where the modern sim racer levels up. Find a Discord linked to a league, maybe a car or a series you race, or even a general iRacing community. Because inside those servers you'll find setup advice, driving tips, telemetry comparisons, and people reviewing laps. And sometimes they'll give you brutally honest feedback, which by the way is gold. Because improvement lives just outside your comfort zone, and sometimes it's hard to hear, but you've got to take it on board. Step 3. Seek micro coaching moments. You don't need a full-time coach, you need moments of clarity. That could be someone pointing out where you're overdriving corner entry, a tip around braking earlier to get better exits, learning to prioritise exits over entries, and all these small adjustments compound quickly. Step 4. Fix that mental loop. Right now you might be thinking, I just need a clean race. But that thought carries pressure. Instead, shift to, I'm here to learn something this race. That one change reduces frustration, improves decision making, and builds long-term consistency. And consistency is what gets you out of D-class. So to wrap this bit up, you're not stuck, you're just missing structure, feedback, and a community. Career mode might bring that in the future, but right now you can build it yourself. So consider, as we've said, joining a league, join a Discord, ask questions and stay curious. Because the drivers who improve fastest aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who stop trying it to do it alone. So, the final wrap up for today's episode. So where does all this leave us? Career mode? It sounds simple on the surface, but another feature, another menu option, another way to play. But when you really look at it, it could be something much bigger. It could be the difference between being thrown into racing and being prepared for it. Because right now, every single one of us has learned the hard way. Through mistakes, through frustration, and through those races we'd rather forget. And in a strange way, that's part of what makes iRacing what it is. It's raw, it's unpredictable, and it doesn't hold your hand. But it also doesn't always teach you what you need to know and when you need to know it. And that's the gap career mode has the potential to fill. Not by removing the challenge, but by shaping the journey. By helping new drivers understand racecraft before they're fighting for position. By giving struggling drivers a path forward instead of more laps in the dark. And maybe by reminding us all that racing isn't just about being fast. It's about being aware, being patient, being in control when everything around you isn't. Because the best iRacers, guess what? They're not the ones sending it into every corner. They're the ones who know when not to. So I'll leave you with this. If career mode has been there when you first started, would you have learned faster? I don't know. Would you have raced smarter? I don't know that either. Would you have enjoyed the journey more? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts, because I generally love to hear where you stand on this one. And as always, if you enjoyed the episode, give it a follow, share it with a fellow iRacer, and keep spreading the word. I've been Guy Robertson, and this has been the Lone Road iRacing podcast. And no matter where you are in your journey, keep learning, keep improving, and I'll see you on the grid, and always say hello. Happy iRacing, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week.
Whatever it takes, we're racing, we're in the zone. Whatever it takes, we push hard, never alone. I'm in the cockpit, the engines roar, hear me now. We're racing circles, got a hustle made a vow. Chasing victory, it's all or nothing on the track. Speed is my motto, nothing's ever holding back. Whatever it takes, we're racing, we're in the zone.